great.
All right, hello and welcome to HCCLA's Reasonable Doubt. My name is Murray Newman. I'm the president of HCCLA and I am your host tonight. And with me, as always, is my friend and HCCLA's treasurer, Justin Harris.
Hey, Murray.
Justin,
I'm not always with you. Just every other Thursday we do the shows, and sometimes let me carry your briefcase at the courthouse.
In spirit, you're always with me.
Oh, I love that.
And we have a very exciting guest on tonight.
Very exciting.
This is a man who has worn many titles with me. He was my professor. Now he's a colleague, and I'm getting to carry his briefcase because I am his second chair on the Capitol right now. So
nice.
this is a man that I've known since 1997, which that's half of my life.
It's
I don't know if it's half of his, but it's
Longer
half
than
of
how many of your
mine.
marriages?
But all of them. I was actually dating wife number one when I first met this man. That's how long I have known.
It's making me look old, real old now.
The
boy.
legendary Tyrone Moncriffe. Thank you for being here.
Pleasure being with you two guys. I've always looked up to you guys, so it's a pleasure being here.
You know, I think that if we were to just do a popularity contest in the whole building, I think Tyrone would win it. You've got to be one of the most universally beloved people in that building.
I pay people a lot of money, man. They like me, so it goes that way.
And
I don't have that much money to pay people.
and you are here tonight because you are part of our speaker series on the Lifetime Achievement Award winners of this year. So congratulations.
Thank you. Quite an honor, and especially to go in with Casey and Danny. Wow, that's phenomenal. More importantly, he was the one who called me and told me.
Murray was?
Yeah. So imagine your life going in full circle. You're teaching a kid, and all of a sudden this kid is president of HCLA, and he's calling you, telling you to get a Lifetime Achievement Award.
And you know what? That was like the best moment of being president.
Oh,
Everything
man.
else has been a big. It's been a slog, man. But
Save the best for last.
Yeah, but I was just like, I get to.
That was awesome, man. It really was. Like, boom, I told my wife, couldn't make it better than that. I couldn't write a story better than that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Well,
How long ago? It was 1996?
No, so I started in 96. It may have been, I think it was fall of 98 when I did it. And it was you. We were talking about this right before the show.
Right.
So I mean, you would talk about some all-stars. We had Tyrone, we had David Cunningham, and Judge Belinda Hill.
Belinda Hill.
Were the adjunct professors on that. Now,
On what? Because you didn't say before.
Oh, it was University of Houston Trial Ad, criminal law trial ad.
Y'all were the coaches?
Yeah.
Yeah, we were,
Yeah.
Wow.
And it was
Was Judge Hill back then?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh yeah.
She was?
Yeah, she was.
Okay,
She
'cause
was.
I just can't imagine her not being Judge Hill.
Yeah, no.
She went to law school with me. We graduated together, so we were
Really?
friends, and gave me no help at all in court. In trial, it was like, I'm making it harder on you.
You know, I only tried one case in front of Judge Hill, and I mean, it was just, I loved it because you knew up when you were standing up to make the objection what the ruling was going to be because it was going to be what was right.
Exactly.
You knew if you were going to make a BS objection,
Right.
you are going to be there, and just like I wanted to be like as expected every time.
You're right, Judge.
I never thought about being in federal court was in front of her.
Right.
No BS, just
Right.
go right to it,
No, she was great, and I've been very, very fortunate to become friends with all three of you subsequently. And I was thinking about this kind of on the ride over, because you were a defense attorney then. You're a defense attorney now, and although other people use the term institution loosely, I think you're an institution. I think that
I've had some judges say I should be institutionalized.
That's good. It's a compliment from certain judges.
You're right. You're right.
But I thought about that. There's not too many prosecutors around anymore that you would say are institutions. It seems to be something that's very much exclusive to the defense bar in Harris County.
Yeah, we stay in there longer. Once we get it, we're in it.
Right.
But it's one of those things, guys.
I was riding an elevator today with, the defense elevators with like 7 prosecutors.
Steerage, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, we were hitting the 12th floor and the 5th floor and the 4th floor, and I was like, guys, I'm gonna be late for a doctor's appointment. Y'all know that you have a green badge elevator across there that y'all could use.
Sure, that went over.
Right.
It got real quiet. A blue badge elevator. I have a green badge. And one of them, it got very quiet and awkward, which I'm really good at doing, but then one of them said, it's not too late for you to get a blue badge. And I was like, yes, it is.
It's way too late.
But you're right. There's not really those institutions anymore. I wonder how much of that had to, not to go political, but had to do with Kim Ogg's?
I think it has to do with a lot of regime changes in the past 15
That's what it
years.
is.
Right.
And,
That's exactly what it is.
yeah,
You know?
because before that, when I started under Johnny Holmes in the tail end of his
Holmes,
career,
right.
and and there were people that had been there, and not just there at the office, but like there in their positions. Like
Yes.
Andy Tobias had been there for like
Right.
20 years in
Right,
grand jury,
right, right.
and you had the head of special crimes and people that had just been there forever.
Right.
And but and that's kind of why that's a great segue, because I wanted to hear war stories from you. You speak at a lot of CLEs on different topics, but I want to hear some real war stories.
Well, and that's before you do that. That's the institution that you're referring to.
Yeah.
Right.
Is that whenever there is a CLE and Mr. Moncrieff's name is on there, there is a rush for the door at that hour. I've seen you in every CLE that you've put on.
You can go do it, in other words, yourself, right?
No, I will keep coming and learning from the master.
Because nothing takes with him.
Right, I have to hear it 5 or 6 times, and then I still don't get it. But you are a trial warrior down in the trenches, trying these cases, teaching other lawyers how to do that, even before they're lawyers.
Right.
So yeah, you got war stories royale.
Well, I'll tell you what, guys, a lot of it starts with being afraid, fearful. You don't know Walter Pink.
Oh, I did.
You know Walter? When I came out of law school, I worked with Walter for a year and a half. And if you know Walter was sort of a radical.
Yeah.
I mean, he would put it like this. You got the Black Panthers and you got the Ku Klux Klan over here. Walter with the Black Panthers, and what's my judge who went and became a congressman?
Craig Washington?
No.
Poe.
Oh, Poe.
Poe.
Oh,
Poe would be the Klan.
Opposite, right.
yeah.
Here's the craziest thing, man. When Walter died, I spoke at his funeral. Ted Poe spoke at his funeral. I was blown away. He got two radicals, totally different.
Yeah.
And he got up and he said, I know you're shocked that I'm here speaking for Walter. You don't know, Walter was one of my best friends. What I didn't know, they were tight.
Yeah.
They had different political views, but they loved the fact that each one of them fought for what they believed in. So things like that. You wake up. I mean, for example, if in Walter's office once, I go in late in the afternoon, and then I go home, I come back, had to go back to the office. I go in and I open the door, and there was you hear a shotgun?
There's no mistaking that.
You hear a shotgun?
Yeah.
What the hell? Walter and his sons were in there waiting on this client to come back who was supposed to come get him.
Uh-huh.
It was those type of experiences you just say, man, this is what a trial lawyer has to go through.
So you trained under Walter?
A year and a half under Walter, yes.
Okay.
And
I remember his business card. Do you remember his business card?
Which one?
It's the one that said the name's Pink, not Punk.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, man.
Oh, he would make some prosecutors mad.
He was a master orator. This guy could get up and spellbound an audience. Only one I could see who else was like it was Craig Washington. Mm-hmm. Craig could hypnotically put an audience in a trance. And I was like, wow. And then you start learning from those guys. One of the things he did, when I first started, I didn't want to get into the practice. I wanted to sit and watch these lawyers try cases. Mm-hmm. And Walter told me, he said, no, you got to get out there. Like learning to swim, you got to get in the water. And he kicked me out there, and of course my first trials, I was horrible. But you learn something from mistakes, and that's why you got to do them. You got to get into them, fight them, And then you learn the attitude of a trial lawyer, defense lawyer, is no matter what happens, we're going to fight it. Mm-hmm. I was trying a case, don't get me talking about my cases, but trying a murder case.
That's what we want. That's what we want.
Susan Brown, trying a murder case, and I'm in the hallway. We took a break. And so I'm in the hallway kind of going over my notes for my final argument. Craig Washington comes around. And Craig says, Tyrone, I know you're in trial, but I want to tell you a story. I said, Craig, I don't feel like hearing a story right now. Give me, Craig, leave me alone. He said, no. Story about the Alamo. 165 men waiting on an invading army, over 6,000. And the guys were getting ready. One guy walks up to them and says, "Hey, what are you guys doing? You have no wind. You're totally outnumbered." And one of the guys, they said, David Crockett, nobody really knows,
Right.
was cleaning his rifle. He said, "Yeah, we know it, but we're going to give them hell." And Craig told me, "Tyrone, give them hell." That little story inspired me to go in with a different attitude. Being a trial lawyer, I think, is merely attitude. It really is. It's your attitude going into it. And your name. Your name. Your name. One day people will open up a book and see your name and say, it's going to mean something. Right now, you guys, somebody hear your name, it means something. To other lawyers, prosecutors, it means I got to fight this person or I don't. You know, what's the guy's name? I can't think of his name. Prosecutor, great prosecutor, black guy. He was a year ahead of us. He was in the military.
Mark Vinson.
Mark Vinson, one of my favorite people. Mark would tell me, he said, "Tyrone, let me tell you what it's like being a prosecutor. On Monday morning, I got 25 cases set for trial. And I have to use intelligence to know how to deal with them. I got 1/3 I'm looking at like they're not going to try a case. The lawyer they have is just so, no, don't worry about it. The next third, they'll try a case, but even if when I see the lawyers, I know I can beat these lawyers, so I don't worry about them. Then the other third is lawyers, even if I got a good case, I'm going to catch hell. I need to get ready for them." So it's the assortment of your name, you know? But there are pivot points in people's lives. You guys know what I mean by that when I say pivot point? You're going one way and you have an option to go one way or the other. You guys, you know what I mean?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
At a point in your life, I had 2 major pivot points. High school. I was a football player. I was supposed to be a lawyer. I was supposed to be a professional football player, making millions and millions of dollars.
Where was high school?
Worthing High School, right here in Houston. I thought. First 2 years, 10th and 11th grade, I was sitting on the bench. I had no skill, no nothing. Just my friends said, "Let's don't practice," so I didn't practice. That end of the second year, 2 of my friends, they call us the 3 Musketeers. You see one, you see the other. One of them made all district first team, the other one made the honorable mention. I didn't make anything. Guy walks up to me and says, "Tyrone, you are sorry, man. Your friends made all this, you didn't do nothing." At that point, I was so mad at this guy, I wanted to just beat the heck out of him, and I had a choice to make. Either he was right or he was wrong. And instead of beating this guy up, I looked at it and said, "You know what, this guy is right. I am sorry. I'm not doing nothing." Went home and told my brother Randy laughed at me. I said, "Man, I'm gonna be a star next year." He said, No, it don't work like that. You don't you're not on the bench one year and the next year, finally you're a star. It doesn't work like that. I said, "Yes, I am." He laughed at me and one of my cousins laughed at me. And at that moment, I changed.
Pivot point.
Pivot point. I said, "Look, I am an all-state player. I'm seeing myself as all-state." When you start to see yourself as something, you physically change. You're no longer the guy who walks. Your habits are different. And I started saying, well, a guy who's all-state will not be doing this. What would a guy all-state be doing? So I started running, man. My friends would go party and hanging out. No, I'm running. I'm working out. I'm exercising. To make a long story short, I went from a guy who was on the bench. The next year, I was MVP of the year of my football team, captain. I made all-district first team. I was a candidate for all-city, all in one
year.
spring. Now, guess what, though? I got hurt the first district game. I only played half the season and accomplished all of that. What it taught me, but also, a couple of things happened. It taught me that I had more potential in myself than I was using. But it also taught me something else. When I played football, you guys don't know it. You may know him because you're a football guy. A guy named Joe Washington. You ever heard of Joe Washington? played for Oklahoma Sooners
No.
out of Port Arthur, Lincoln. If you ever pull his name up, Joe Washington, he wound up going to Oklahoma, playing against Texas. He was third in the Heisman Trophy balloting his junior year. I think he was fourth in his senior year. He was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I think he was #1 draft pick for the San Diego Chargers at the time. He was so good, I realized there was a level in football I could never reach. I'll never be that good. And I had sense enough to see that. I better do something else with myself. Maybe I need to go to school. But you got to realize, being a football player, I had no good grades, test scores horrible. All my counselors said, you will never make it in school. You need to go do something else. Why don't you go take your, trade or something? But I thought about the football. They told me I was sorry in that. I said, what the hell? I haven't applied myself. Let me apply myself. Texas Southern University let me in. And I came out #1 in my class. Next pivotal point, when I got to Texas Southern, something else happened to me. I wanted to be a lawyer because my cousin had got in trouble. I'd go down there watching the lawyers, defense lawyers. Man, I'd like to do that. But I speak so horribly. I have my communication skills are horrible. I could never make it.
That's kind of hard to imagine.
Yeah, seriously.
I believe
this is the
you
story.
at 16 having the wisdom and foresight that you've already described, but I don't believe you.
No. Seriously.
Okay.
True story. You're gonna hear. I brought something for you to illustrate it. I said, no way I can do it. So I told my grandfather, I think I'm gonna do something else. He said, why? I said, well, lawyers speak well. I don't. He said, what? Don't you ever tell me, let something that's just an obstacle stop you. Don't ever tell me that again. I want you to go find the best speaker in the world and call them. This is how my grandfather was. And talk to them. The best speaker in the world to me at that time was Barbara Jordan. Do you remember? You remember?
I do.
Beautiful speaker, great speaking voice. So I start calling her on the telephone.
You start calling Barbara Jordan
On the telephone. I'm calling Austin.
Okay.
And she took your call.
Oh, I'm calling Austin every day. And then I start sending letters. Then I kept calling. Finally, a lady answered and said, sir, don't call us anymore. We're going to have Miss Jordan to call you.
Oh.
Okay? Sure, right. Just like somebody telling you, hey, look, we're going to have Mr. Mick Jagger call you.
Right, right.
That's who I would want.
I know, that's why I brought up that name. That's who, I said, yeah, right. One Friday afternoon, I'm at my mom's house, and the telephone began to ring. I don't know if something ever happened to you where you said, I need to answer that phone. I pick up the phone, the golden voice of Barbara Jordan on the phone. And
How old are you at that point?
I was second year undergrad, I think.
Okay.
Second year
In
undergrad.
college? Okay.
Yeah. And I start blabbing off, and I wanted to be a lawyer, and I wanted to learn how to speak, and I blah, 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 and I just ran it all down to her. And she gave me some advice. I need to take an acting course. You need to start taking a videotape of all your voice and listen to your voice. And you need to start reading out aloud. And I started, and I said, thank you, ma'am. And I said, look, I'm going to tell all my friends that I talked to Barbara Jordan. And they're going to laugh at me and think I'm crazy. Can you send me a letter so I can keep it memorialized? And she bust out laughing. I don't know if you guys ever remember her laughter, but I have the letter, and I brought it. Because I know every time I tell that story, somebody says, no, I don't believe it. Read that loud so you guys can hear it.
Tyrone Moncriffe, 6102 Westover.
Don't read his address on the air.
I'm going to guess he's moved since November 2nd, 1976. Dear Tyrone C. Moncriffe, this will acknowledge and thank you for your kind and thoughtful letter. In answer to your question, I do I do not know what you can do to become an eloquent speaker and penetrating thinker. As far as I can remember, I have always spoken the same way. As for thinking, one must be able to develop a strict discipline for concentrating. You must decide whether you are willing to do this and then set up your own rules to follow. Self-improvement is important, and it is a very personal decision. Thank you for contacting me. Sincerely, Barbara Jordan, Member of Congress. How cool is that?
I'm going to give it to my daughter, maybe my grandkids. They'll sell it on eBay, I'm sure.
I was just looking to see if it said P.S. Stop calling.
It should have. But anyway, that was a pivotal point because for me, as a young kid who had no confidence in
that's
himself,
amazing.
For her to take the time and say, hey, look, you're important enough for me to say something to change me, okay? Then I started saying, look, I need to go after it. I need to change.
Did you ever get a chance to meet her in person?
Never did. But that was a pivotal point to me. There are so many things inside of you that you can do that you're not aware of because the world limits us, tells us we can't, and we always think about, well, I can't do it, rather than thinking, I possibly can do it. Anyway, that sort of pushed me into looking for ways to get better. You guys know Robert Jones, the great Robert Jones.
Oh, yeah.
I asked Robert, I said, look, what does it take to be a great trial lawyer? He said, take an acting course, Tyrone. Acting course. And I said, man, why would I take an acting course? Do what I say, take an acting course. I walk away from Robert, I'm walking down the hall, on the wall, a sign says, acting for lawyers. Now, is this coincidental or what? Acting.
Unless it said hosted by Robert Jones.
Sign up with
That
Robert
really
Jones.
would have been there.
Yeah.
Acting for lawyers. Took the course, and it was one of the most important courses I ever took because it made you get out of yourself, recognize yourself, and get out of it. Once you're able to recognize yourself, you can take an audience with you where you are, And then I start putting that into action in trials, in the Lemon story. That happened to me in undergrad school with you've heard my Lemon story.
The Lemon story? Refresh my memory. Well, refresh the audience.
Okay.
Have you done it on TV before?
No, not that I know of.
Copyright.
Don't lick your screens right now.
I was in class, in a literature class, and the teacher walked in.
Your mouth is watering.
And she did something I'm going to do with this audience who's listening. She said, I want everybody to go to your refrigerators. And raise your hand when you see, we all raise our hand. And I want you to open the refrigerator door, the light comes on. There's a lemon in that refrigerator, the biggest lemon you've ever seen. I want you to take your hand and notice the rough texture. Your hand sort of drops because the lemon is so big. Put it on the nearest table and start to roll it backwards and forward. Backwards and forward. Reach into the drawer that has the knives. Notice the sound of the utensils when you pull the drawer open. Get the sharpest knife. Put it on in the middle of that lemon and start to slice it backwards, forward. Juices are starting to come out. You turn your head because of the smell, backwards and forward. It splits in two. One side has seeds. Take that side of the lemon, put it in your mouth and bite it. See your face?
Yeah.
See, now you've heard it. You've heard it.
But it was doing it. It was doing it before you started.
You've heard it.
Yeah.
I was feeling the texture. It's good.
What happened with me, I said, wow. Everybody else said, oh man, it tastes lemon. I said, no, something else. That's dangerous. And I told the teacher, that's dangerous.
How so?
And she said, well, Tyrone, how so? And she knew the answer.
Yeah.
I said, why, Tyrone? Because you're showing me that a human being can walk into a room and make me salivate.
Yeah.
Just talking.
Yeah.
And if you can make me salivate, you can make the room hot or cold. Just talking. Then I began to realize the power of words and your ability to use words to make people respond. And that's what we do in trial.
Yeah.
there's a term called abracadabra. You guys have heard of it, haven't you?
Sure, of course.
But you know what it means? You know what it means? Most people don't. What you speak, you create. Simply means it. What you speak, you're creating.
Oh, it's a real word?
It's a real word. That's what it means. Abracadabra. Look it up. What you speak, you create. And that's what the lemon story showed me.
Yeah.
You're creating a reality, and your body does not know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. But you guys probably know, I use techniques. What techniques did I use, guys? Can you tell me?
Use storytelling?
Yeah, when I talked about lemon, what made you taste the lemon?
Visuals?
What techniques? The visuals? When?
Well, for me particularly, like when you're saying, imagine the texture of the lemon, when you're rolling it back and forth, get the biggest lemon out. When you said the utensils in the drawer, when you pull it out, I imagine that annoying drawer I have at home. Got to get the carpenter come fix that pull on.
Right.
So,
What else?
Even the hand dip, the hand dips a little bit. It's like it's the small detail that's adding, to the picture, and then the texture, and then the taking the knife back and forth.
Right.
Yeah.
And the smell.
Yeah.
I use all your senses.
Yeah.
It's really what happened. Every sense you have, especially the sense of smell.
yeah.
If you can get an audience to smell your story, they're in a trance. Once your body and mind is in a trance, then it does not know the difference between what's real and imagined. Okay? So imagine if you're in front of a jury and you can take
Tyrone's Matrix.
you can take that audience to see it.
I mean, and it really is a really interesting phenomenon, because I remember when I was at the DA's office, Lucy Davidson, our friend Lucy, her daughter, Jacqueline, had fallen out of a tree and impaled her side on a branch.
Wow.
And so Lucy starts telling his story, and I start getting pale. I have to sit down.
Right.
Having heard this, which, it's because I'm a tough guy. But, I mean, and it's absolutely true. And that is kind of your claim to fame.
Well, I learned how to do little things like that, using some techniques. Plus, I like writing stories as a kid. I saw the drama of a story, how you use words. I'm the oldest of 5 boys, and so I would scare my brothers. I tell a story just to get them scared, And I realized I couldn't say, hey, look, man, the monster's at the door. They wouldn't be afraid. But if I created something where they could hear the sounds, the crack of the door slowly opening, the breath of the monster coming in, boy, that build-up, then they start seeing the monster in their brain.
Terrified them.
Then they become terrified just because of the monster. So if you think about it, that's what we do in trial. We take facts that are past and make them real in a courtroom. This is real right now. And the audience can see that they're not concerned with reality now. They're concerned with their own reality that you created. Okay? Hey, I feel like I'm doing a CLE course.
You are doing a CLE course.
We're recording this. We don't have to take notes. But
I feel like
how has it been taking that craft on the road?
What do you mean?
Outside of Harris County? Have you presumably you've tried cases outside of Harris County?
Yes.
The lifetime of your achievements. So did you find? Okay, so you used. Murray noted your hand gesture.
Yes.
Right? A lot of judges don't like to let attorneys walk around a courtroom.
Right.
And it's harder to. Acting classes will teach you blocking and
yes
and things like that.
Right.
What do you do if you have a judge that's kind of cramping your style?
You can stand before I've had that happen too. You could stand in one place and create the same atmosphere.
You just adapt.
Pausing, knowing how to use words to elongate words in one spot. Sometimes that's even more devastating, because sometimes your movement can throw people off. But if you stand in one spot and you start talking about what happened that night. But telling a story has a lot to do with your body. You're not just using words. Your body has to tell that story also. And you have to be able to connect to the audience so they can be with you when you tell that story. You know.
I had to ask, you do federal work, right?
Yes.
And so I've yet, in 25 years, to ever set foot as a lawyer into federal court.
Right.
And when people ask me if I do federal work, I'm like, so much of what I do is BS.
Yes.
And I heard they shut that down there. So.
They do. I don't like federal work.
Yeah.
But there are times when even the judges will into your story.
Yeah.
If you tell it properly.
Right.
So yeah, you could do it. I like voir dire in state court because I can get away with so much.
Right.
State court, federal court, no, they do all your voir dire for you.
Yeah.
It's
all written.
It's all written, man. It really is. So, but that's sort of what gets you into me picking people, making people comfortable. But you were talking about going different places. Mm-hmm. I thought you were talking about the people in different places.
Well, that's a thing you have to react to and adapt to as well.
You do.
Talk
you
about
do.
that.
I've learned something real simple. People are people. I don't care where you go. Mm-hmm. Okay? And what I mean by that, look, we live in a society that divides us. You're a white guy, I'm a black guy. We're supposed to be different. We're supposed to see the world different. But if we're three fathers, we see the world the same way.
Right.
You with me? What I do is use universal themes. I talk about fathers, mothers, things that we all can see. Sylvia had me file a motion for me in limine, so I would not talk about my grandmother on voir dire. She didn't realize that the whole objective of me doing that was to create a different atmosphere.
You called her out at the last CLE, the last council.
Yeah, I sure did. I sure did. She literally filed a motion. Do not let Tyrone talk about his grandmother. I said, "Oh my goodness!"
You've been doing well.
When they start whining about that, I mean, well,
I remember watching you try a case against Mia Magnus in front of Judge Davies one time.
Okay.
And you had somebody on the stand, and you were doing something, and she objected to your mannerisms, like he's doing the nodding thing over there, and Judge Davies was like, "Yeah, I see it. Yeah, I'm gonna sustain that."
Oh yeah, that happened. You try to get away as much as you can.
Oh sure.
I usually, when I'm hoping not too many judges are looking at this, but I usually try to get up and do cross-examination. If the judge lets me move around,
Sure. Mm-hmm.
I like to go sit right by the jury box.
Yeah.
And I just cross it from that perspective because I want them to say that this is us. We're together. You 12 people and I are crossing this witness.
Prosecutors are typing this up.
Oh, they're typing it all
right now to not let you near the jury.
Exactly, I know it. But anyway, I go there and I was doing that once, and with Judge Cosper said, Tyrone, I said, Judge, is it all right if I move around? She said, if I let you move around anymore, you're gonna be in the jury box. But we go through that, man. I've had some things, some trials that I've won that have hurt me, and I've had trials that I've won that I've lost that have helped me.
Yeah.
You guys know what I mean by that?
Sure. I do. Can you talk about some of those?
Yeah. Okay, let me tell you one that hurt me. When I say hurt me, let me explain to you what I mean. You guys are too young to know Jimmy James.
Oh, I remember.
Do you?
Oh yeah, misdemeanor. Right, was he misdemeanor or was...
Felony.
He was still doing some visiting when I first started.
He was visiting Michael McSpadden. You remember him?
Yep.
He was visiting him in court once, and I had a client. If you guys remember that large courtroom, Michael McSpadden, a big, large courtroom. I was going back to get my case reset. My client was in jail and he had to walk way back by there to get to the back to see your client. And I'm walking through the courtroom, and I hear all this noise. It's literally like a fight going in the courtroom. I walk in, and this young guy had an orange outfit on. And on the outfit, it said, Malcolm X by any means necessary. 5 bailiffs had him lifted up in the air like this. And he was yelling and screaming and blah, 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 blah. And as he was taking him around to take him back to the holdover area, he spit at the judge. I'm going to get everybody, and you too, and spit at Judge James. So, I had to walk by him to go see my client. He's all shackled. I mean, literally like a slave. I'm feeling sorry for the guy. I said, man, look, you don't know what the hell you're doing. Here, what are you? He said, oh man, I'm gonna represent myself. I said, man, you don't know what the hell you're doing. I gave him a card and said, look, I'll help you pick a jury. Let me know whenever you go in the future when you go to trial. I go down the way, talk to my client. I'm talking to my client in the jail, in the bars. Bailiff come and take this guy out. So I'm still talking to my guy. We're talking about whatever. And then the bailiff come talk to me. Tyrone, judge want to talk to you. What the heck the judge want to talk to me for? Judge James, Tyrone, you represent this guy? I said, Judge, represent me? I don't even know the guy. He said, well, somebody gonna represent him because we got a jury in the hallway. Either he's gonna represent him or he's gonna represent himself. I said, Judge, look at the way the man's dressed. He's jail outfit. He said, no, we tried to get him to change. He don't want to. He want to go to trial just like that. So, you guys know Bill Hawkins.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Bill Hawkins was one of the prosecutors, and Bill and I have been knowing each other a while. And I said, well, Judge, look, the guy don't know what he's doing. I know we don't sort of have hybrid, but can I just ask a few questions for him, just to kind of get him started, because he don't know what he's doing.
Right.
And Judge said, nope, either you represent him or you represent himself. So Bill Hawkins said, Judge, I don't want Tyrone to say nothing. That's what Bill Hawkins told me. Now, you know, I'm kind of a radical guy. You say I don't want to say nothing, I'm going to do it then.
Yeah.
Look,
No, I
what?
want to.
You going to tell me I have to represent nobody? I'm representing him, Judge. What is this case about, first of all?
What is he charged with? Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, what is this case about?
Well, you already blew the part about getting your money up front.
Yeah, right.
You know, at this
I'm not
point.
getting no money, and I know what the
right,
case is
right.
about, but I'm mad at the prosecutor for daring me. I said, man, what is it? Okay, anyway. It's a theft case. This guy's an habitual. They're offering him 45 years. I said, look, man, come on, man, this is ridiculous. They were mad at the guy because every time he come to court, he raised hell. I turned to the guy and said, look, man, let me explain something to you. If I represent you, you're going to have to be the most personable, well-behaved, well-liked person in the world. Can you do that? Yes, sir. We went to trial. I hadn't even read the offense report, but I was able to pick up what was happening through their witnesses and sort of pull the story together. And I developed a theme to argue to the jury. Not guilty.
Nice.
Guy goes home. Here's where that hurt me, though. That happened early in my career. And I developed the mentality, well, I don't need to study. I can just walk in. Boom. Forget all that heavy study. You know, just
Wing it.
wing it. I can wing it, man. Bad deal. You never can wing it. You gotta know that stuff backwards and forwards and backwards and forward. Anyway, that's some things that can hurt you, you know. Then I've had some where you've lost where you learn so many skills. You know, you learn so much from the opposing lawyers and from people in general. You just learn so much. How to pick a jury, what to look for, how to make a jury comfortable with you, how to take facts that are impossible and make them juries see it, you know. How to talk about the theme and story of your life. I don't know how you guys start. You know how I start voir dire, right? You see me.
No,
you
I've
don't.
actually not.
You don't? You haven't?
I've seen you do the CLE on board.
Okay, yeah.
I come in when you're doing cross and
Okay.
closing, but I haven't seen a voir dire.
I think the most important part of a trial is for the defense lawyers when you get up and introduce yourself. And I tell a story. This is why I got the motions in limine. For this story, I'm gonna tell you guys. Ladies and gentlemen, how many of you have ever heard of an actor by the name of Clark Gable? You guys are too young.
Oh,
Heard of him?
You've heard of him.
it's gone
people
with the
raise-
wind.
Okay.
Come on, man.
Gone with the wind, that guy. People raised their hands, and I said, in my family, the oldest female gets to name the child born in each set. What that meant was my grandmother would name the first one of each one of her children's kids. She's going to name her first grandson after her favorite actor. Clark Gable. My mother said, no way. Sidney Poitier. We're going to name this kid after Sidney Poitier. That's her actor. She wanted Sidney Poitier. And it was a big argument. Mom, grandmother, and then this big argument. Finally, my dad said, look, I'm going to turn that television on right there. Whatever actor comes on, that's what we're naming this kid. He turned the television on, and Tyrone Power comes on. And I said, folks, that's how I have been Tyrone ever since. My dad told me, son, you're lucky. Had it been up to me, well, I would have named me after my favorite actor, who was Gabby Hayes at that time. Now, unless you know who Gabby Hayes is, that's not real funny.
I know.
But is Gabby?
I bet you
I'm
don't.
Gabby's a woman, no?
Nope.
Oh, then no.
No,
That's less funny.
you got to see Gabby Hayes. And
Okay.
I don't do that.
Cowboy, right?
Yeah, cowboy,
Yeah.
cranky guy. If you pull up Roy Rogers, Gabby Hayes is that odd-looking character with Roy Rogers.
Oh, this guy.
Let me see. That's him. That's him. So everybody
be you.
in my generation would laugh
Gabby.
because they know in the name itself.
Yeah.
And then I started having to change it because a lot of people did not laugh because they didn't know who Gabby was. And I told them, I said, look, I know some of you may not have heard of Gabby, but the next time you see an old Roy Rogers movie, Gabby is the funny-looking guy who was with Roy Rogers.
Mm-hmm. Had his own show.
Yeah, one guy raised his hand and said, Mr. Moncriffe, who's Roy Rogers?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you do that now, they're going to be, is he on TikTok?
Yeah,
Right.
you know, unless you're on TikTok. So
Yeah.
anyway, I'd get a good laugh with the audience, and I've learned something, man. If you can get people to laugh with you, you break a tension, and you can connect to a deeper level with that.
Yeah.
Okay? Your client is an extension of you. You guys know what I mean by that? Your client is an extension of you. Let me show you another example. I do feel like I'm doing a CLE.
You are doing a CLE.
I feel
that's
like I'm
all
doing
right.
a CLE course. We were talking about the power of words and how words can make you see a lemon, taste a lemon. Here's what happens in a real trial. A real trial. And I tell young people this all the time. Forget about all that stuff they taught you in law school. In a real trial, judge will get up and read the indictment. Your client is charged with aggravated sexual assault of a 6-year-old. Now, we can academically, as lawyers, we see that different. Jurors don't see that different. That touched their soul inside. They have words, and I get, when I'm speaking to an audience, I get them, tell me that word that's inside of your gut when you hear that term. What's the word? Just yell out the word that's in your gut when you see aggravated sexual assault of a 6-year-old. What's the word that's in your gut?
Monster.
Gross.
Monster.
Gross.
Gross. Now, and usually I go around the whole place and everybody's telling me those horrible words. Monster is inside of you. The reason I say inside of your gut is because what else is inside of your gut is your religion, your political beliefs. Deep. You can't change that overnight. I don't care how much I talk about beyond a reasonable doubt or presumption of innocence. That's in their gut. Saw a lawyer do something that was really powerful. He said, ladies and gentlemen, I don't get to pick up my daughter from school very often, but one day I had to go over there and pick her up and take her to the dentist. And when I went to the school, they wouldn't let me take her. And I went to my car and gave them some more identification, came back. They still wouldn't let me take her. And it wasn't until my daughter came down the hallway and said, yeah, that's my dad, that they let me take her. I didn't get mad at those people. They're protecting my daughter. We are a society to protect our women and our children. I didn't get mad at you. When you frowned up and the ladies frowned up and everybody pulled back, we protect our women and our children. And there's nothing worse than this type of case, except one thing: an innocent person being charged in this type of case. I wasn't there, but they said he paused a moment and he let the jury digest it, and different words came up. Right now, you guys probably have different words. What's your word now? Think about it. What about you?
Ambivalent.
What about you?
I was thinking like Michael Morton, Anthony Graves.
Okay, all right. My point is, you're not monster anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not, oh, gross anymore. Why? And I tell the audience, the reason you're not gross anymore is because of the story the guy told. Never mentioned his client. He's talking about his life with his child, but he said something very critical. He embraced what the audience felt. He didn't run away from it. He embraced it and he joined them feeling that. And once you join them feeling that, you're one of them. And once you become one of them, there's no way you would represent a guy who was hurting children.
Monster.
A monster. So he can't be a monster because you're representing. Because you're one of us. Simple words. Simple word. You guys got any questions? I feel like
Well, yeah, I do because we have it in a CLE, and it brings to mind because I was thinking about this. Is like I've known you now for almost
100 years, right?
Almost 30 years, and I know this Tyrone. I know Tyrone the lawyer. I know Tyrone the CLE. I want to know Tyrone the person. I want to know who's your favorite football team.
Texans, man. I'm a Houston Texan fan, of course.
All right.
That's what I love. I love it, man. I love the competition. I love the win, lost, the stress, the work you put into it, and the disappointments you get when you lose.
Okay.
Texans.
And I'm assuming you're a football guy since you played football.
Oh, yeah.
Is football your favorite sport?
Right,
I
right.
mean,
Absolutely. Love it, man. Basketball, too.
All right.
But go ahead.
I have a hard time seeing you outside the office. Because I mean this is who you are. But so what do you do in your downtime?
You know what, man? Believe it or not, what I have learned to do, I love to read.
Oh,
History.
really?
Oh man, it's amazing what you find when you read history, the stories of people, the obstacles of what people have gone through, the lives of people. I look at somebody like, for example, Frederick Douglass, who was a slave. This man became a superstar, even though he was literally a slave. Booker T. Washington is a guy who was a slave, and when he got the opportunity to go to school, he walked. I mean, during that time, of course, they got trains to take you to a certain spot. Then you had to take a carriage to a certain spot. Then you got to walk. He walked 85 miles to get to his school. It wasn't 87 miles on concrete, on the street, through bushes and, all that type of stuff. When he got to school, he was so filthy, dirty. The lady who was supposed to give him the scholarship that he got couldn't believe that was him. No, you can't be. You can't be somebody who we gave the scholarship for. I want you to stay here till we go check this out. In the meantime, you go to mop that floor over there. And Booker T said he took that mop, he took that water, and he mopped that floor like nobody ever could see mop a floor. I mean, that lady walked in and said, wow. Just his effort toward mopping the floor made her realize this kid is something else. And anyway, my point is he had a hunger to learn and a hunger to go through the maximum to get. Anyway, I've seen people do that, go through that, and accomplish things that we're a spoiled generation. Yeah. We have it easy compared to what some people have gone through,
We have audience questions in between Jackie Carpenter and Damon Parrish fighting with each other in the comments.
Oh yeah, always.
So,
on Facebook, right? Go on Facebook.
Katie wants to know, what book are you reading right now, and what's your favorite book of all time?
The autobiography of Malcolm X is my favorite, and the reason it was because I saw a guy go from a criminal to one of the most renowned people in the world. He only had an eighth grade education. Malcolm went to school in Nebraska, and they were one of the few black families that live in the area. He was the only black person in his class. And in the 8th grade, at the end of the 8th grade, the teacher would say, ask each student, what do you want to do with your life? Malcolm, matter of fact, the students loved him so much, he was president of the class. And Malcolm told the teacher, I'd like to be a lawyer. And the teacher told Malcolm this. He said, look, Malcolm, we all love you here, but niggas can't be lawyers. You'll never make it as a lawyer. Do something else with your life. That turned Malcolm against school. He quit. Malcolm eventually became a criminal. I don't know, have you ever read the book or read his story? Look,
I'm going to give the cop-out answer by saying I watched the movie.
Yeah.
The
Read the book. He became a straight-up criminal. Eventually wound up getting caught. He goes to prison, and his dialect was like, hey, Billy-o, how you doing, Bobby-o? Couldn't understand his language. But he met a guy in prison who taught him the importance of learning to think. Malcolm said when he realized how far behind he was, he took the encyclopedia and went from A to Z, reading each word. And eventually became a brilliant orator, and he transformed his whole life from what he believed that life was to what it was, okay? Anyway, that's one of my favorites.
All right, Jackie Carpenter wants to know, what's the most important rule that Tyrone lives by in defending the accused?
Oh, that's a good one from Jack.
Yeah. Mine is real simple, Jack. My client is not on trial. I am.
Oh.
My client is not on trial. When I go into that, look, we've all had that client who didn't pay you, you didn't get all your money, and then you still got to go to trial anyway. Mm-hmm. Never forget, when I first started, there was a young lawyer I saw who said, well, he didn't pay me, so I'm not going to do much. I'm just going to go through the motion. Nah. My thing is, when I walk into a courtroom, if my client has paid me all of my fees or hadn't paid me 1/3 of my fees, I'm going to raise hell in that courtroom because I'm on trial. They're going to remember me, not my client, you know. That's the most important thing. You are on trial, not your client.
All right. My friend Dennis Davis wants to know, I would like to know what a life of law has meant to you.
Up and down, Dennis. You have your highs and you have your lows. And I think about it, would I have done anything else like I've done this? Probably not. So I think in life you should find out what gets you going. What is it that you can do as well or better than anyone else? Mm-hmm. And you got to have passion for it, Dennis. If you don't have a passion for it, you're in the wrong place, you know?
It would be something to let those folks back when you're 16 to 20 know that I'm now getting a Lifetime Achievement Award. I'm not that sorry anymore.
Yeah, because I've had several of my high school classmates. And what is our time like?
We got like 3 minutes.
Wow. Several of my high school classmates are shocked. One of them is Rodney Ellis, commissioner.
Okay.
He and I classmates together. And he's always saying, Tyrone, what happened? What happened? Rodney was supposed to be Rodney Ellis. I wasn't supposed to be.
Well, and I'm glad you asked about how much time we have left, because apparently at home right now, Rob Fickman will be murdered by Christina if we don't mention the banquet is in 2 weeks from tonight.
Yes, right.
And if you have not bought your tickets, you need to buy your tickets. We have a revamped program. We're going to be doing mingling before, then we're going to keep the program to about an hour and a half, and we're going to mingle afterwards.
Good.
We have hired people to keep Brian Weiss away from the microphone. And
that's going to be hard to do.
It is going to be. We failed last time. We just straight up failed.
We're going to pay him a lot more this year.
We tried. But so that is my plug for the banquet. If you haven't gotten your tickets, it's going to be
May
great.
9th,
It's going to be May 9th.
Houston, 5 o'clock.
Absolutely. You
About
go
2
to
hours, 55.
hccla.org and get your tickets. If you haven't, Rob, I saved your life. I think you owe me a kidney. We still have some more questions, and these are great questions that are coming in. Jackie said, thank you for sharing that. She loves that. Wanagiri says, who do you see as the younger attorneys that are emulating you and your way of trying cases?
I don't know. A lot of these guys, you two guys, I love to watch you guys in trial. I'm trying to think of the name of the guy who, when I did this years ago, Reasonable Doubt, he was one of the guys asking me questions. He's a phenomenal Hispanic. He's
JV Villa.
Villa.
Yeah.
Villa was the one who, he and I would talk. I did talk to him just like I talked to you guys. That guy is awesome. Damon. These guys are awesome. I see all these guys and I'm saying, hey man, we're in good hands. Well, I see you guys. Y'all have the dedication to do it and to do it the right way. So I'm proud of all of you guys. And it's an honor being here. It really is.
Well, it's an honor to have you, and I am super stoked that you and I are trying a case together.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know?
And he's going to do all the work. Not
Yeah,
me.
you're going to pick the jury, man, and then you're going to talk.
We're gonna have fun, man.
And then you're going to talk to the client's mom. And,
Yeah, right.
yeah,
No, man, but it has been an honor to be a criminal defense lawyer. I couldn't have done anything else in my life and achieve the way I feel about this honor right now, to be honored by people who I have grown up with. I've been doing it 42 years, 41 years, I'm sorry. And I couldn't have done anything else without that time.
you've done it like a master. We've only got 30 seconds left. Tyrone,
Love you guys, man. It's been an
we will
honor.
see you in 2 weeks on the stage. Congratulations again, Justin. Thank you.
Thanks, Just. It's been a pleasure, man.
Yes, sir.
And we will see you guys next week. We'll have Casey Kieran on.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. He doesn't know that, but
Yeah,
we're
have that
having. Casey doesn't know that, but we're having him on this show.
I meant to tell you, Casey and I just tried a case since we found out that we were getting a lifetime achievement. We just tried a case together.
Oh, after?
Thank you all for
Yeah.
tuning in, and we'll see y'all next time.
That's great.
Casey's all.